Hey everyone, this is the 80s Gamer. I've never done this before, but I wanted to try and do a little channel update and tell you a little bit about what's going on with the channel, maybe make this a regular part of the content that I post as I try to grow our casual gaming community. Also, I would like to apologize for the lack of videos recently. I had a sick kid at home, which did not leave any time for recording videos. I'm sorry about that. First, let's start with a little background. I've been on YouTube now for about a year, and I thought now would be a good place to sort of check in on how things are going with the channel, maybe talk about my goals and what's happening and what hasn't happened. So for those of you who are my subscribers, hopefully all of you watching this, and are interested in this content, I really appreciate it. For those of you who are just here for watching gaming videos, probably this is not the video for you. I started this channel in January of 2024 as an experiment to see whether or not I could have fun playing games in front of an audience, as well as share my love of gaming with the wider world. My original plan for the channel was to make a combination of videos in two different categories of games. One, I was going to make videos for current games that I was playing. And two, I was going to try to feature games from my early gaming career that maybe I never finished or they came out and I couldn't afford them. Games from the mid to late 80s and early 90s. I know that modern AAA titles are $70 or $80 now, but when I first started playing games, I feel like I was going to the local GameStop or something like that to buy a game and it might be $30 or maybe even $20. That was a lot when you were earning money from like a paper route like I did when I was 14 and 15. I had to save up my money just to buy games. So I was hoping that those games that I couldn't buy back then, but that I wanted to play would be good on a YouTube channel. Nowadays, there are websites like GOG, Good Old Games, where you can get some of these older games. And I thought, what a fun idea to maybe buy games that I never got to play as a kid, or visit some games, or revisit some games and see how they hold up. Look at the stories again, just sort of see if there was an audience. I wanted to play these games for myself, but also see if there were other people who were interested in them. Maybe saying, hey, I never finished that game, or I always wanted to know about it, or how it ended. So that was my original plan for the channel. I started with posting videos of Dyson Sphere Program, which happened to be the game that I was playing right before I started the channel. Dyson Sphere Program was about to have a major update where they were going to add in enemies, and up until that point, it had just been a passive building, a kind of core factory building game. Now they were adding enemies, and nobody quite knew what to expect, and I wanted to try to get one more achievement run done before the enemies were part of the game. So I actually started the run right before they pushed the update, and they had committed that an existing game or an existing save wouldn't be broken by the update. So that's when I started posting at the channel, with the plan being that I would play DSP some and get some historical games to play too. I've had a few in my stream library that I could start with. For example, a couple of the early Indiana Jones games that I was going to try and play and see what you guys thought. Well, this was before I had the Steam Deck, so I was going to try to play these games on my Mac and record the screen, which turned out to be an utter disaster. Anyway, I started posting Dyson Sphere games and reading about how to start a gaming YouTube channel and that sort of thing. And not surprisingly, it was slow going. People have talked about how hard it is to start a gaming channel now, especially one that features a series of episodic content. It seems like most of the successful YouTube channels that feature gaming are like Blitz and Splattercat, and they play something different every day. I know that there are sometimes a little quick series, but it's mostly different videos. As someone who's just starting out, this is a hobby. This is not my full-time job. I do not really have $30 a day to dedicate to buying a new game every day to play for you guys on the channel. Plus, I don't think I would be very good at this kind of content. I want to play games that I want to play, that I think are interesting, that have a story and a challenge with problems to solve. I want to play games like that. Plus, I was thinking games that I would buy that I'd be spending money on would be the older games to feature in the channel. But when I started researching videos on older games, even popular ones, I found that the view counts were extremely low. I imagined that there were lots of folks in their 40s, like me, maybe people in their 30s, maybe even their 50s, who had a nostalgic memory of what gaming used to be like in the MS-DOS days, when we had to manage our 640K very carefully and when we would launch from the command line. You would launch the game and hope that you had enough RAM, and then when you didn't, you would have to create these custom startup sequences in what was called the autoexec.bat to make stuff work. That was the first program that ran when MS-DOS booted up. We wrote custom ones to maybe not load in some of the things to RAM to keep as much memory as possible so that you could play your game. Maybe it was Wolfenstein or Doom or any of the Space Quest games. And all of these early challenges and problems no longer exist today for any gamer. My son, for example, who's 6, or my nieces and nephews who are in their teens, they've never experienced any of that. First of all, our only console we had back then was Nintendo. Now there are so many consoles. And computer games were the innovation in graphics were. They definitely drove hardware sales and graphics card sales. My biggest problem with those early console games was that they didn't even let you save a game. Some games, I think it was Metroid, you could write down a code which was sort of supposed to save your progress, but it didn't really. You always had to start at the beginning. It was not like computer games where you had actual saves. People bought whole new computers back then just to get a new graphics card to be able to play a new game. It was a very different time when we used DOS. I guess I would say Windows XP, maybe Windows 95 really tried to be the first version of Windows that existed completely in the GUI and without the command line. But Windows 95 was still installed over DOS from what I remember. There was still a way to get to the DOS prompt and not boot into the GUI, whereas with Windows XP, which was sort of based on Microsoft Windows Server architecture, I think, you really couldn't get back to the command line. And that's when memory management stopped being quite such a big problem that it was for those of us in the 80s and 90s. So anyway, this is a long way of saying that I found during my research that maybe I'm the only one who's nostalgic about these old games. It didn't seem like there was going to be a way to create a successful YouTube channel only featuring old games. And maybe I would be able to do something where I featured old games on the weekend or something, but I didn't know how well that would play out, especially, for example, the Indiana Jones games that I had planned on playing that were, I think they were called search and click adventures. These are the games where you walk the character around with the arrow keys and you click on things and collect and solve puzzles. I found YouTube videos where people were completing these games in 3 or 4 hours all in one stretch, which meant that I would have to for me to make a series, why would you watch my series when you could just watch an entire video start to finish instead of watching the game play out over several days? Especially if I tried to do it only on weekends, I just didn't think there was anyone who was going to be interested in watching something like that. So where does that leave me? One of the things that I find a lot of is YouTubers who play the games that are similar to what I like to play, like Dyson Sphere Program or Factorio or Lens Island, and they are min-maxing. So either they're building the perfect house in Lens Island, which honestly I don't care about building part of Lens Island. If you've watched my series, you know that. Or they're just doing anything to try to complete the game, maybe as like a speedrunner. And you don't learn any of the story. And for me, I want the story. I want to experience the story. I like the challenge of gathering the resources, upgrading my tools, and beating the next monster. I like the challenge of exploring the caves and hunting stuff down. I don't need a perfect house with the perfect banister with the perfect chandelier. And if that's your thing, great. It's just I play the games for the story. I played Subnautica because I wanted to know what happened to this survivor. How do we escape? Can we escape? What was the alien life form? I mean, that's why I played Subnautica Sub-Zero. It was the story and a beautiful crafting survival world with also a good story like the original. And I think that there's a lot of people who enjoy the stories and the narratives of the video game. It's kind of like an interactive movie. You're the movie star. That's the attraction, at least I think for me. You're the star of this interactive movie, and while a movie in the theater is only 2 hours, a video game can be a lot more than that, and you get to do it your way and at your pace. Watching that content of a person living out an interactive movie, I find that pretty compelling. I watch gaming YouTube videos at least 30 minutes a day, and that's something that I look for. Sometimes it's my before I go to bed routine to sort of settle my mind as I watch somebody play an episodic game. Sometimes it's the games I'm playing so that I can get some tips and ideas and some trick. Sometimes I'm not playing, but I might want to play or just not want to play, but still want to know what the story is. I want to watch someone else go through the story because, again, like I said, to me, video games, in a sense, are narratives, and that's just movies you are a part of. Speaking of narratives, movies, and video games, in the background here, while I'm talking, this is the Breathedge 2 demo that was just released. If you've never heard of it, Breathage was supposed to be like a Subnautica game in space with a sort of Monty Python-esque crude humor take on it. I missed the Epic sale where they gave it away for free as a free game, and I ended up buying it on a major discount on Steam that I had thought about, and I thought about playing it on the channel. I even recorded an episode, although I don't think I ever posted it to the channel, because I think in the end, I feel like Breathage lets humor get in the way of the point of the game, the survival mechanic. So I tried the new demo and was thinking maybe I could make a short series on that demo. But after rewatching back this video, I realized that it's actually pretty boring too. So instead, I figured I would have it run in the background here for you guys while I ramble on, and you can see whether or not you think Breathage 2 would be something that you're interested in. I would say it's not as good as Subnautica, and the humor and the sort of weirdness of it gets in the way of the good story. It's also too grindy for my taste, and I don't really feel like after any meaningful additions to the survival crafting mechanics of the genre. I didn't enjoy it, and some of the gates that they put in place feel super arbitrary and super annoying. Anyway, back to the channel update. So it's been about a year. Where does the channel stand? Well, of course, I dreamed of being a successful YouTube content creator in only a year, and I thought I would have 1,000 subscribers. Well, that didn't happen. But as of this recording, our community is around 290 subscribers, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. That's the most I've ever had. So thank you all. I really, really appreciate it. I also want to say that it really means a lot that you would spend some of your precious time with me and checking out these games that I like. I honestly had dreams of thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. But at the same time, realistically, it is still astonishing to me that even 200 people are interested in either my style of gameplay or my gameplay itself, or maybe it's the tips and tricks that I provide for the games that I'm playing, or you're just generally interested to see what I'm going to do and how the story will go. So, thank you. Sometimes I imagine all of you sitting in an auditorium, and I get a little bit of stage fright, actually. I have never spoken in front of more than 200 people. I have probably never spoken in front of more than 50 people, honestly. So in some sense, it's a little intimidating, and maybe it's better that I don't have thousands of YouTube subscribers because I don't know what I would do or how that would work. Could I even handle the pressure? And if I ever do someday, and they watch this video, I guess I'll have to laugh along with and at myself. But isn't that the point of it? One should never take your life too seriously. Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys a few interesting facts about the channel. My most successful video of all time is kind of interesting, actually. So the most successful video of all time was the first video I did on Lens Island. The first in that series, anyway. The series on Lens Island continues to get views and continues to get people coming and checking it out. The developers are approaching their 1.0 release, and I definitely will be playing it. The second most popular video on my channel is the first video of the Wild Indigo Ranch series. I think that's probably people looking for tips and tricks for that game. They released 1.0, but it still had bugs and challenges, and if you didn't follow the story exactly right, you'd get stuck. I remembered that I played through in the entirety of early access, and I had been planning on continuing my game from early access into 1.0, and then they broke it. The developers broke it completely. You could not continue your save, and you needed to start the game again. It sucked. I had to start completely from scratch after doing like 22 videos on early access and expecting to just be able to continue to the new area. Instead, we had to start from zero. I think you can see that on the series. I think they're sadly going to do that with Lens Island too, but we'll see. If they do, hopefully it's worth it. There's a lot of new content after all based on the update videos I've seen. Number 3. I'm just going to do 3 and 4. Number 3 is a video I did on the latest Settlers game. I tried to do a stealth series on the latest Settlers game. I mean, I loved Settlers, but the latest game is not so loved, and so I only pushed the first video in the series, and then I sort of played for the folks who wanted to see the story and just posted into a playlist for them. I mean, the point of the channel was to have videos from old games, and Settlers was one of the very first games that I used to play on my old Windows computer way back in the day. So I did a video on the Settlers New Allies game, which I think is the most recent Settlers game. The game was actually critically panned and the sales didn't go very well, but the video did well all at once. I got a whole bunch of views, not that many, of course, because this is just a small channel. So it got like 2,000 views though in the first day, which is the best of any video I've ever had. But the series didn't really materialize. Maybe the YouTube algorithm didn't know how to match my viewers to my style of gameplay or something else. But in general, what I found was people watched the first video of the Settler series and then they weren't interested in watching a series, which is kind of like what I was referring to before, where maybe episodic content is not successful. That said, I really should probably finish the game. So sorry to all of you who are who are enjoying the playthrough and the story, and I haven't finished yet. I will get back to it. I think we did like 30 something videos of that, and we never actually finished it. But it would be nice to sort of go through and finish the campaign. If I do it, maybe I'll take it out of stealth mode. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And the final top video, number 4, is How to Tame the Tiger. It was kind of a funny story. I was playing Lens Island and I really wanted to get the tiger because I thought the tiger was cool and it would make an excellent pet when they did the pets update. I also thought it would do the most damage of all the pets, right? A tiger, a cat, a dog, come on. So I looked for how to do it and it was super hard, and I searched all over the internet to figure out how and realized that there was no videos, just a Reddit post or two. So I made a How to Tame the Tiger video, cutting together my footage from the episode where I actually got it. And that is my fourth most popular video. It is always getting a few views every day. Someday it might actually be number 1. Who knows? It might be the only video if you search for Lens Island How to Tame the Tiger on the internet. I think you get pointed to that one. So that's my 4th most popular video. It's the only little tutorial video I've done, which maybe that's what I should be doing. I don't know. I don't know if tutorial videos get you subscribers. My goal was to share with you guys the stories and the narratives of great video games in a casual way that when you wanted to unwind, you wanted to take it easy, you could flip on an 80s gamer video and relax and watch a story unfold with a little bit of hopefully fun commentary, which I know I probably need to work on my fun commentary a little bit, but hey, it's only been a year. So what's next for the channel? Well, I'm going to keep trying to post content. I really do my best to post a video every day. But like I said, this is a hobby and it's on the side, and I have a family and a son who is only 6.5, and a family comes first. So I don't always have time to record a video, and I can be super tired from all my responsibilities and work. I will do my best to keep posting videos as often as I can, with the goal being every day. But if it doesn't happen, please don't beat me up. We did a poll on the channel at one point for length of video, and it seems like people preferred longer videos. So I will keep trying to do it that way, sort of between 30 and 60-minute mark, instead of the super long ones. Let me know in the comments what you think about video length. I'm always open to feedback, your ideas, and your suggestions. Next up on the channel, I would really like to finish the Factorio series. The Factorio shipbuilding series is kind of like a combination between Factorio and a tips and tricks videos, and I enjoy making it. And that's what I would like to do in this, and I'd like to do more in that area. Lens Island 1.0 is coming, and I definitely will play that. I really enjoyed that game a bunch, and I would like to see all of the new stuff and see where the story ends. I am also open to any suggestions for other new games to play that any of you have. Another series that did pretty well, although it didn't crack the top 10, was Space Haven. Especially early on, these videos were getting a lot of views. It's different. It's like an RTS sort of survival game that keeps regularly releasing updates. I think it's still in alpha, and it can be fun to play, at least follow along for somebody who's trying to build a spaceship and survive in space. They didn't really have any kind of hard victory conditions in some of the early alphas like 14 or 15. Maybe they have supposedly made the victory conditions more prominent now, and we could try to do that. We never exactly finished the last series I was working on because I sort of felt like it was getting really repetitive. I wasn't getting a lot of views on the videos, and the training factor, the learning, the ability for someone to watch my videos and then go play it on their own, having learned something, was getting sort of weaker and weaker. As I got further and further in the game, why would you watch sort of late game content if you were just starting out? The videos were becoming just sort of me scooting around and picking up resources, and we had essentially become indestructible. It didn't seem like there was much I needed to do to hunt the whole galaxy for some partial ending. I'm also running a series on Odd Sparks, which is a very interesting take on the factory game where the conveyor belts are essentially little creatures called sparks. I enjoyed it initially in early access, and now they are releasing at least 2 more updates. It hasn't done that great in terms of views. I'm not really sure if I should continue. You guys can let me know. I don't know if it's because it's not that interesting in terms of content or what exactly. Maybe my fun commentary is not as good. Maybe it's not right for the channel. Maybe it's just one I should play on my own time. I don't know. So that's what's coming up. We're going to keep trekking away on a few things. Please let me know in the comments below if this was interesting and if these sort of channel updates should become a regular feature of the channel. And an extra thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this channel update video. I really, really appreciate you, and thank you for being here. I will continue to try to keep posting interesting content as often as I can. If you see something or know something, or there's a game you want to see and let me check out, please let me know. I would definitely be up for it. If you think that I'm totally wrong with my assessment of older games getting no love, that you would be interested in seeing some of these old games from your childhood or whatever, also let me know. I welcome and treasure any and all feedback that you provide. Every interaction, every comment, I try to get to every single one. And if you think these channel updates, again, should be regular, let me know, and I will try to maybe do one once a month with how things are going. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and breathage. What do you think? You want to see a video on it? Or does it, look kind of silly? What do you think? I would be interested in that too.